What's going on, folks? Welcome back to your Lakeford Guide. It's going to be a fun one tonight, man. We got some drama, fishing drama, tournament fishing drama, as always. It never fails. Major League Fishing has set us up for some topic of conversation. Look, tournament fishing at this point is completely corrupt. I'm fed up with it. I think a lot of y'all are fed up with it. I know my guest who I'm bringing on tonight is fed up with it. And the reason we're playing Guess Who's Back is because this is one of my good old buddies who started this podcast with me many years ago. And he created a monster. And, so we're going to bring him in with no further ado, man. I love this dude to death. It's been way too long without him, and I couldn't think of anybody better to get into some good old back and forth drama than Mr. Christopher Blackmon. Do you have your mic turned on? Let's see. How about now? Say something for me. Oh, we brought it to a halt already. He's got his mic muted somehow. You know, you're supposed to check the audio when you're coming in. You probably didn't do that, I'm guessing.
Right now.
Hey, here we go.
Right now.
There it is. Living up to our reputation is always a bit
Absolutely
unprofessionally ran talk show you'll ever find.
Dude, half-ass and haphazard.
Man, we got Keith Poche, Major League Fishing. We got Adrian Avena. We got somehow Jacob Wheeler's mixed into this, and we're going to tell everybody how. I know you remember how. There's a long story and so much more to this than anybody could ever know. And we just happen to know 99% of it, so we're going to put it all out there tonight, ain't we?
We're gonna lay it on the table, as they say.
Yeah, we've never been a pair to pull punch. How have you been, brother?
Dude, I've been good. Just busy.
I know. You went and got a grown-up role at your job over there. You went and got you a grown-up role, big boy role, and now you don't get to do all the fishing stuff we used to do.
No, I still keep up a good bit, but I don't get to fish near as much as I used to. But I'll get there. I'll get back to that one day.
Yeah, I know you will.
I ain't forgot how to do it. You just got to tie a really good knot and throw all the baits that Billy tells you to throw, and you'll be all right.
Yeah. What about one of these? One of those right there?
Oh, yeah. I'll never forget. I think I'll be dead before I forget how to do one of them. Drag it around.
You're still the only guy I've ever seen that was flipping one of these, flipping a jig and flipped your whole rod in the lake.
I did flip my whole rod in the lake, yep. I was trying to get good. I was trying to get in Matt and trying to get,
Yeah, so tell everybody what happened, because we're just going along flipping, and all of a sudden out of my left eye, Chris's whole rod just goes cartwheeling into the lake.
Man, I was actually using the reel I was using had a flipping switch on it, and I'd never used the flipping switch before. And for whatever reason, this particular day, I decided I'm gonna use the flipping switch. It was real cold, you couldn't feel your hands real good.
Very cold, yeah.
And I forgot that I was using the flipping switch, and so I hit the button like you would normally do, and then I went to flipping the mat, and the rod went ass over tea kettle. And Billy said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Man, I'd really rather not talk about it. Can we just go get my rod?"
Yeah. Let's talk about that one at another time. So, before we get any further into tonight, I want to give this bait a plug. I designed this bait. I'm involved with this company from day one. BassAmigosFishing.com, where you can find this. This is my jig that I designed. You can't see much of it in this light. I'll pull it out of the package so you can see it better. But I want to show you guys this because, look, we had the warming trend. We were all on the bank, doing all that stuff. And now it's done got cold again. And, man, a lot of those fish in that, those creek channels in that, 6 foot, 8 foot range where the creek channel bottoms out in that. A lot of big fish to be caught in there right now on Lake Fork and all our lakes around here, really. But this has been the color for me this year. You know about that little orange on that black and blue, Chris? Remember that?
Is that Neon Dion? I believe
this is Neon Dion right here. Yeah. So this is some stuff that Chris has seen me do this for a long, long time. But so the Versa jig, 3/4 ounce Versa jig, black and blue skirt with some orange highlights on the belly. That's Neon Dion. And then black and blue has been the other color. But I can tell you guys that the main color that I've caught, literally most of the bites, the jig bites I've got this year, have been on the Neon Dion. For whatever reason, they've wanted the orange this year. So y'all can go check those out, BassAmigosFishing.com. And if you're fishing fork right now, you need to have some of these in your boat because man, now that it's got back cold and they suck back to those channels and drains again, there's not much a better way to catch them than that. You know what I'm saying, Chris? Like you've been on that deal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's when it's right. There's something about that little orange in the skirt. I never understood it, but man, it works.
Yeah. So are we gonna let's the elephant in the room. Everybody, all the long time viewers of the channel have never seen a hair on your head.
Oh yeah, yeah. Address it. Let's go.
So Chris used to look like Nazi youth around here.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what he looks like.
Yeah, I had to change it up, man, to get the flow going.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so, I hear AC/DC's coming back, so I figured I was going to try out as a bass guitar role. So
there you go.
Yeah, I had to lick the
plug. You look dirty and grungy with that hair. I'm not going like your little kind of. Yeah. I know you don't really grow the thickest facial hair. You got that little Joe Dirt goatee and your long hair. Yeah. You got a little grungy, dirty too. Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I want to be in Dallas Buyers Club too.
Oh my God. Bro, what happened to AIDS? Where'd it go?
It was a myth the whole time. It was a myth the whole time.
It's gone forever.
Yeah.
Aaron Hernandez AIDS. Yeah. How about that?
Gone forever.
You know, it's that we can go off on that because there's a whole thing about how the medication they were giving you is similar to something going on recently. Yeah. We're not going to get into that deep of a conspiracy theory, but I know me and you get enough of them cold beers in us, and that's kind of the conversation. That's what happens, stuff like that.
This could become a not fishing podcast real quick.
Yeah, real quick. We'd be on aliens here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, dude. Keith Poche. Keith Poche, I think, is always like one of the little man's favorites. You know, here's the thing, man. Let's talk about this first before we even get into the Poche deal. Here's the whole problem with all of it. There is a culture that exists, even in local levels, of tournament bass fishing, where it's the haves and the have-nots, or in the club and out of the club. Lake Fork Mafia. You know, you've watched me go through it. You've been there with me and experienced it with me at times on Lake Fork, where it's like, you're not part of this club. You don't belong here, you know? Right. And if you're one of the chosen ones, or you were kissed their butt enough to get into their club, then you can you're cool. You can do whatever you want to. And if you go your own way and kind of buck the system and try to make your own way, but yet you catch them as good as they do, boy, they will turn everything they got against you.
Mm-hmm.
That exists in the Lake Fork guide community. That exists on every little bass trail. It exists to some level in club tournament fishing. Just that attitude that tournament bass fishermen, for some reason in this culture, some tournament bass fishermen have of, I'm better than you because I think I can catch a fish better than you do.
Right.
It's so ridiculous because the reality is anybody can beat anybody in fishing on any given day. You know, like they say any given Sunday. Well, any given whatever day, Jacob Wheeler can have his butt kicked by me and you if things fall the right way.
Right.
It's over time that you see the consistency of the really good ones. But dude, like, at the end of the day, still, bro, like you're catching a bass. Like, what is your ego really about? It's bass fishing. 98% of the world does not know this exists. Like, it's so ridiculous. So that's really the underlying problem of all of this. And Keith is definitely not in the inside club, you know?
No.
So for all the like people that aren't on the inside of the we're the cool bass fishing kids club, like Keith is a dude that we all like. Like, he's fun to watch, you know, jumping levees and going back where nobody else goes, and, you know, just fishing the style he fishes, and kind of his personality is like, I don't give a damn what you think about me. And we all kind of appreciate that and like that about him. He pays for it because he doesn't get accepted in the club. He doesn't. And if you don't think this matters in that world, it can affect your living and your bottom line. Like, it's not a fair playing field you're on out there by any means. If you're one of the chosen ones, man, they will give you all the advantages in the world. Do you remember and I don't know how true this was or not, do you remember all the conversation right after the split about how after like 1 year after the split, like half of the field of the Elite Series hated Chris Zaldane because Bassmaster gave him so much coverage?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I'm like. That's kind of an example of what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying this happened with Chris. It could have just been new dudes that were jealous of Chris because he had built a successful reputation or whatever. But like, man, that can happen in this world. Where like, if that company chooses to make you one of the golden boys, then you make a lot more sponsor dollars because of all the coverage you get versus another guy. Yep. So these live cameras in your boat on coverage are the most valuable thing in all of bass fishing. Can we all agree to that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's in just calling it what it is. It's basically free advertisement of your brand. When there's so much, social media runs so much of this business, and there's just so much exposure everywhere. You know, very seldom is everybody going to click on the same thing. Well, when we're all watching live coverage, we're all clicking on the same thing, so to speak. So it's extremely important. You know.
Well, let's be real. It's the only place in the entire industry where you get eyeballs on you that you don't generate on your own.
Correct.
Every other eyeball you generate is on your own through making your own posts and doing your own boat shows and whatever, like your appearances at places. That's the only way you generate eyeball time, which is what this is all about. Like from the background me and you're from, like at the end of the day, you want to sell a product, dude, you got to put eyeballs on it. The more eyeball time you have, the more product you sell, period, in the story. So for those guys to generate sponsor dollars, they have to generate eyeball time. And this is the only place they get a chance where another platform actually kind of helps them do that and does that for them in a way. Everything else, they do it on their own. So these live cameras in the boat are a huge, huge deal. And it should be when you get past the cut or whatever in the second, third, 4th days of the tournament, it should be the top guys that start with the cameras in their boat that morning.
Right.
And that's usually how it is most of the time. Now, you can't always do that. I understand there's certain signal issues in live coverage and different things where you have to have an out when you need one. But this situation was not that. This was clearly just a big middle finger to Keith Poche is what it was. Because Keith Poche was in the top of the standings, should have had a camera in his boat by the standings. At first he was going to, then they told him he wasn't going to. And then they put one in Adrian Avina's boat. Now, I like Adrian Avina. He's been super nice to me. He's given me a couple shout outs here and there. I have no issues with Adrian Avina. But Adrian Avina, they told Keith Poche he couldn't have the camera because he was making such a long run. It would be too long without on the water coverage. But they put one in Avina's boat and he went to the same place. And ironically, Keith Poche claims that Adrian Avina only went down there after he caught him down there. He went down there because Keith caught him down there and because other guys were catching down there. And Keith Poche also claims that Adrian Avina fished the exact same stretch of water. Basically just said he straight up hole jumped me, fished for the same fish I was fishing for. And he came down there because he knew I was doing good, and he got on that stretch I was on because he knew I was doing good. I don't want to get into the who hole jump to. I'm not pointing any fingers at Avina for that. Here's my problem with that. Keith Poche has no way, and I'm not calling Keith Poche out on this. I understand how he can think what he thinks. But he does not, hole jumping in general, accusing somebody of hole jumping, does it happen? Absolutely does. Is there any way to know whether that guy found that spot on his own or not? Not when it comes down to it. There's really not. Like, the only way that you can say for sure that I didn't find this on my own is that you're just that much smarter than me. So are you that arrogant that you think you're that much smarter than me? Because we all have the same technology now. Like, you don't know that Avina, maybe he didn't practice there, but maybe 2 years ago he fished that stretch. Like, you don't know that he doesn't know about that stretch, dude, on his own. You don't know that for sure. There's no way to be certain. You can think in probabilities, but you can't be certain, right?
I think it would almost be irresponsible to think that the fishermen of this caliber don't know about everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, to a certain degree.
Yeah. And then so to say Poche's side of the argument would be, well, he may know about that area, but he didn't know they were biting on it until he saw me catching it. Maybe. Right. Or maybe he was just failing up there on the other section of the fishery and decided to run down to something he had in the past and you happened to be there.
Right.
Like,
probable, likely.
I mean, you just don't know. There's no way to know for certain, okay, unless the guy just comes out and admits it and says, hey, yeah, I came down there because Keith was catching them. Now, are there guys that take advantage of that kind of uncertainty in that aspect and hold up people? 100% there's guys that do it. Can you do anything to stop it or police it? No, you can't. You're never going to stop it. You're never going to police it. So I didn't even want to spend as long as we just spent on the whole jumping aspect.
Right.
The camera going into a Venus boat is so corrupt, and it screws Keith Poche so badly. Like, it's one of the few. First of all, these guys spend tens of thousands, sometimes over $100,000 getting on the road on these tour trips, or close to it. 80,000 is kind of typically a good estimate about what they typically spend on this after you count entry fees and everything else. And yeah, some entry fees have been reduced and taken out now, but so did the winnings got reduced too. So I'm not going to go into the math of all that, but they spend tens of thousands of dollars. They spend time away from home, leave their families at home, and don't see them. They sacrifice so much just for a chance to do good in these tournaments. And a lot of their success financially for their business depends on when they do well, they get the coverage they need to create the eyeball time. So to take a camera out of a guy's boat who's kind of, earned that right as much as you could say it's a right, man, that's a huge shot to him. Like, that is, you're screwing that guy over very, very badly. Like, it's a big deal. And then here's what the aspect I guess we can talk about that most people don't know. We had Jacob Wheeler on a podcast, me and you did, years ago. And when I brought this up, his entire, which we were just on the phone with him, but his tone and his voice changed immediately when I asked him about this.
Immediate demeanor change.
100%. Like, you could see his expression through the vocals on the phone. It was obvious that this got to him.
You could taste the uneasiness of the room, so to speak.
I don't normally hold anything back on questions, and when I asked that and he started talking about it, I went, "Ooh, I better tread lightly."
I better
be careful how we ask the follow up to this.
Yeah, what's your favorite breed of dog is what I meant to ask you.
So yeah. So here's the story. Right around the split, the last Bassmaster Classic, the Classic was in the year of the split. The split had happened, but it was the last Classic with all the old Elite Series guys in it. Jacob Wheeler was in it. Ott Defoe was in it. Tennessee River. Everybody remembers Ott Defoe winning that tournament. Here's the behind the scenes of what happened, or the story that I heard. The story, and I've messaged Keith and asked him to be on and talk about this. He's super busy with everything that's going on this weekend, so he's not on here tonight, but I will try to get his side of this story too, because we've only gotten one side of this story. But Keith Poche is not going to make the last day cut. He's not going to go to day 3 in the Classic. He's fishing in it. He's not going to make day 3. He's standing in the day 2 weigh-in line. The way the rules read, you cannot get any information from outside people, but you can get information and share information amongst fellow competitors. Now, that means if you didn't make a day 1 cut, which they don't even have in the Classic, but if he would have got cut on day 1, he couldn't have told him this. But since he was in the weigh-in line about to get cut and had not been cut yet, he told Ott Defoe where he found some fish on day 2 and got a better bag and caught some good, bigger fish that could help Ott win. Nothing against the rules there. It's kind of dirty because he's kind of eliminated. He's about to be eliminated as soon as those fish cross the scales. And Ott Defoe was behind Jacob Wheeler. Ott Defoe goes and uses that information that Keith gave him on day 3 to win the Classic and beat Jacob Wheeler out of a Bassmaster Classic. And it was the last Classic Wheeler fished because of the split. And you could tell when we talked to Wheeler, it seemed like it really bothered him a lot. Okay. Tell that story to say, hey, there's a little bit of maybe some harsh feelings between the Wheeler crew and the Poche crew, right?
Yeah, a little bit of gotcha there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now yesterday or this weekend happens, and it's Adrian Avina, who is one of Jacob's really good friends, roommates with him for years, been on a lot of stuff with him. He's definitely – Jacob Wheeler is one of the accepted guys because of how dominant he is. And I think Jacob Wheeler, to me, has always been a fine human being. There's no knock on Jacob, but he's definitely on the inside group. Everybody accepts him. I mean, he kind of – maybe they didn't in the beginning, but he made them accept him because he whooped their butts damn bad. You know what I mean?
He's kind of like the Patrick Mahomes of bass fishing these days.
He's stupid good. Yes, it's crazy. So, but Adrian, because he's buddies with Wheeler, is also in the inside crew. And Connell and Mark Daniels are all they're probably the biggest draw for MLF is those 4 guys, their little camaraderie and their online presence and all that. So how big of a middle finger was it to Keith Poche that not only is it we're going to take the camera out of your boat, we're going to give it to this guy, where there's some history amongst the clique, right? Like, it's just my whole point tonight is this entire industry is corrupt as hell. And it's a good old boys club, and it's about who you know, not what you know. It's about who you know, not how good are you. It's not always about how good you are. Because there's plenty of dudes, we all seen it, plenty of dudes that catch them better than most that don't survive out there financially because they don't move enough product, because they don't get enough sponsor dollars generated. And the number one way you can hurt somebody's ability to do that is to limit their exposure in a tournament atmosphere. It's just, man, I've seen it time and time again. I've seen guys gang up and try to run people out. Like, I've seen them do it to me. It's just dirty, bro. You know what I'm saying?
It's like it's the Real Housewives of bass fishing. It's what it's become. But it's always kind of been this way. We live in the information age now, to where there's so much more exposure to all the BS that goes on. And the biggest deal with what happened with the Poche situation today, and I could sit here and bash MLF all day, I really could, but of course I chew on the other foot. To be fair, I could do the same thing to Bass on certain things. It's kind of a David versus Goliath, and you don't know which is which really. But the whole thing was them hiding behind, oh well, he's making a longer run, so we're gonna come on, bro, come on, Boyd.
That's where it becomes how obvious that it's just corruption. Like that there's something else motivating it, making it happen.
There's 25 other excuses that would have fit so much better than that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have caught quite the flack that it did either.
No, I don't, and it just, they've made it so obvious now with all their stuff that they've done, going back and forth on this rule and that rule, and the Sprague suspension not happening till the end of the year when it got exposed by a random person. Man, dude, it's just nasty, man. Like it turns you off. Like, I don't watch it, bro. Like, I didn't see 1 second of MLF coverage this year. I'm not going to watch 1 second of Bassmaster coverage, except probably when they're on Fork, and I might not watch it. I'm not probably going to watch much of that. I used to watch every second of that.
Right.
I'm just out on all of it. Between this guy's getting information and this guy's doing this, and then forward facing, and these guys aren't real because they're kicking my butt with a new technology that I won't take the time to learn as good as they've learned. Man, they're kicking your butt because they're living on the water and you're going home. That's why they're kicking your butt.
Well, talking about forward facing, that was always my challenge to anybody that had something to say about it. They're like, oh, that's cheating. I'm like, okay, go do it. Go spend a day with it. Show me.
I mean,
show me how easy it is.
It's long been accepted in tournament fishing at this point, but there are still people that will tell you that sight fishing is not legitimate fishing when they're on a bed. But like, bro, come on.
It's an art just like anything else in this game.
Come on out to a pressured lake like Fork and tell me how easy they are to catch.
No doubt.
They're not the big ones.
No.
Like, there's a reason there's like 3 or 4 guides that do it consistently day in and day out during sight fishing, and the rest don't even mess with it. It's not easy. It's a very effective way if you master it, but it's hard to do.
Yeah, no, man, I can't tell you how many fish have disappeared off beds when I'm sitting there jacking with them. Yeah. And I feel I'm a pretty decent sight fisherman, and I still probably spook more than I catch. It's just it's not as easy as, oh, there's a fish, I'm gonna catch it.
Yeah.
Same deal with forward facing. It's not. But like you said, it's a testament to these younger kids spending the time on the water, putting in the effort to learn the technology, master it. They become masters of their craft, and everybody else is too complacent and lazy to put in the time to do the same thing because they've already made it.
Yeah, that's it. It's the complacency and the I've made it, and the entitlement of I deserve something, some kind of respect or whatever.
Right.
Like, dude, you don't deserve anything. Like, this is the top level. If you're not going to keep up, you're going to get passed up. Like,
I promise you, Strike King does not care about that classic you won 20 years ago. It's what can you do for me today? And I'm just using Strike King as an example, but you know what I'm saying.
I'll one up you on that. They don't care about the classic you win today. They
Right.
care about what product you can move. And
Right.
most of that revolves around eyeball time, either
That's
that
right.
you generate on your own platform or that you generate by winning right now. That's
Yep.
the only two ways to do it, is to
Yep.
finish in the top 10 or whatever, top 5, whatever it is that gets the cameras on you. Finish
Mhm.
high enough to get attention on the tournament trail or generate your own views on social. That's
Yep.
all that Strike King or any other bait company or any sponsor cares about at the
Right.
end of the day. And,
Right.
and you know, and that's why this deal to me is such a big deal and such a dirty deal. Kind of that, and then the way it was handled.
Yeah.
And it just, I've lived in this industry for 10 years now, Chris, and you've known every second of it. Me and you worked
Mhm.
together at my last
Oh.
job before I went into fishing.
Mhm.
You, in a lot of ways, are the only reason this happened because of the daggum GoPro. After
Mhm.
fishing with me, you're like, hey, dude, you need to start recording some of this. And you
Yeah.
handed me an old
Yeah.
GoPro that you had and said,
Yeah.
hey, you start filming
Yep.
some of this. And that's how this YouTube channel started. And that's
Mhm.
what made me go full time into fishing, was the exposure from that YouTube channel. So you've seen every second of what's going on with me for the most part.
Yeah.
And I've been in this industry now long enough, and I'm telling you, for all you guys that are young, that are dreaming of being in this industry, you got to understand something. You got to love it enough to put up with a lifetime of nonsense. And I'm like harassment. You're going to get it. It's coming. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
on its way. Like when you see Lake Fork guides come and go and disappear, and you see dudes on the tours that flash for a couple years, do real good, and then disappear. 99% of that is because they don't want to deal with the garbage that comes along with being in the fishing industry.
And this deal doesn't discriminate. I guarantee you, you take your favorite MLF or BASS pro, and you go look through his socials and his messages, they get it too, just like everybody else. But the difference is they love it so much, they're so driven that they're able to function through it. And man, I'll be willing to bet 99.99999, as many nines as I can throw behind that, percent of people cannot. They can't.
Yeah,
Nobody can
well, it's
close to
tough,
never.
dude. Like, I'll tell you the way I've always looked at it is like every job has its goods and bads.
No doubt.
Every job has its goods and bads. And with fishing, you get a really good.
Hmm.
You get a really bad too. But I just looked at it like the good is so good that I have to deal with this really bad. I have to
Right. Yeah.
process it. I have to let it go. I have to deal with it. However I choose to handle it, I have to deal with that really bad in order to get the really good.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Hmm.
And,
Highs are
and
greater than the lows. Yep.
yeah, and it just, god dang, dude. And over time, it wears on you. I'm telling you, it beats you down. And I've gotten now to where like I launch at different ramps all the time. Like I went to Lake Fork Marina a good bit in January,
Yeah.
or decent. I went more than I ever do, but like I don't launch at Lake Fork Marina anymore. It's nothing on Lake Fork Marina. It's the greatest facility on the lake as far as having a store, a restaurant, a great ramp, great lodge, best lodging for sure. Like they host good tournaments there. Like Lake Fork Marina is fantastic. But the people that operate in the industry, fishing guides that go
Right.
out of there, like I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see the way they give me dirty looks. I don't want to see them when I know what they said about me online the other day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear the
Hmm.
rumors. I don't want anybody to tell me, hey, this guy said that and this guy said that. I don't want the doc talk. I don't want none of it. I want to get away from it as far as I can. So I've gotten to where I launch at ramps that I don't think people are launching at, especially guides. I move around from one ramp to the other a lot, from day to day or week to week. Um, and I get my gas not near the lake. Every once in a while, if I need something in a pinch, I'll buy a tackle there. I try not to. But like I've gotten to where I just try to launch my boat, load my boat, and go home. That's it.
Hmm.
And that's nothing against the hundreds or thousands of people over the years that have come up to me at boat ramps and said hello, that watch the channel. Like, I appreciate every one of y'all. It ain't y'all. It's the
Yeah.
knuckleheads that live there and work in the business that get you, and
Hmm.
want like just make you want to stay clear of it. That's been part of how I've had to process it and deal with it, is to distance myself from it as much as I can.
Yeah. That's totally understandable. See, I'm the guy that would focus on the negative. Yeah. And I would. I would. It just. I know that I couldn't do that. you know, I couldn't have the ability to just go pick another ramp, you know. But
I
that's why
remember.
I'm not a fishing guide.
I remember some time back. It's been years now, but you had kind of we were together once a week there doing the podcast pretty much every week.
Yeah.
And talked damn near daily.
Mm-hmm.
And you had kind of like mentioned, hey, like thinking about maybe trying to start guiding yourself.
Yeah.
And I told you, I said, nope. I
Yeah.
said, it ain't got nothing to do with your fishing, bud, but you don't want it, dude. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you're not like that's not gonna work out for you, man. Not your deal.
Wasn't wired for all the BS.
No, I know. Like you like I mean, I've got a go switch, but I'm willing to put up with a lot of stuff if I have a target in mind, a goal in mind.
Right.
Chris has just got a little bit more of a no, we ain't doing that.
I will,
no
I
reason,
will, board, I will
period,
board,
ever.
I'll board your boat and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and look, there's a lot of people that say that there should be more of that, but I mean, not really. Like, no, there shouldn't. Like,
No.
that's not what you want. Like, so we're gonna actually come to blows and do physical harm to each other as middle-aged men over fishing.
Right. Over a green fish.
Over fishing. That's what you
Right.
want to fight over.
Right. One of the most, if not the most relaxing hobbies when you leave all the BS out of it. I mean, where else are you going to be able to go spend time in nature and see the things that you see and just see all the nature and just be in such a relaxed setting? And we're going to bring a bunch of negativity to that? I mean, what?
Yeah. I have a saying I always say, like, fishermen are the most bass fishing dudes that make a living doing it. They're the most angry group of people ever that go to work in flip-flops.
No doubt.
Like the dude at the surf shop is mad about nothing.
No doubt.
Well, here's another aspect of that. You say we ought to just, if you got a problem, just take it to the bank. Or you want to fight, bro? You can't fight nobody in flip flops.
No, it's impossible.
It's a bad idea. I'm just telling you, you're not ready
good.
to fight if you're in flip flops.
Not
I'm
good.
just telling you right now. Like,
And I don't care if you think you saw it in a movie. It's a movie. It's not possible.
Fighting in flip flops is a terrible idea.
You can't fight in hey dudes either. I promise you.
Yeah, it's a bad
Crocs.
idea.
I mean, look here. Ain't no way. These are fuzzy Crocs. I'd almost feel disrespectful to humanity.
Yeah,
trying to beat somebody up the knees.
That, bro.
What am I supposed to do? Put them in 4-wheel drive and roundhouse kick somebody? No. What are we doing?
You're gonna mess around, have a blowout, break a toe.
No doubt.
Hey,
no
first time somebody steps on your toe in a fight with flip flops on, dude, you're done. You're going down, and then he's got you. You're out.
Yeah. And then I'm getting beat over the head by a rattle trap or something. It just ain't worth it. But how do we? Here's the question though: how do we get away from this bass fishing persona? You know,
I don't think you do. I think it's too ingrained in the culture, and it's like the cool thing to be one of those guys that looks down on other fishermen and kind of treats other fishermen that way. And it's definitely the cool thing in the business because you get paid more if you're in the inside. It's easier to make money if you're on the inside of the group.
I mean, I can understand that completely.
Like if you're not on the inside of the group, you got to be one disruptive, like do what I did be real disruptive and be real out there and real public. And that's the only way to get enough attention to make you living in the industry if you're not in the inside group and getting the brother-in-law deals.
But at some point you got to realize that you are halting the growth of this sport.
They're not halting the growth, they're shrinking it. Like the industry is shrinking at this point. Like we had a real easy little run there because of from like 2016 on, because fishing videos were cool on YouTube for a while. Like they were kind of trending or whatever you want to call it. And that put a lot of new eyeballs on the sport. That along with high school fishing, college fishing, and live coverage coming into play. Like all those things put new eyeballs on the sport for a time. Well, those eyeballs have seen enough and are fading. And COVID too. Like a lot of people are having to go back to work more than they used to because of COVID. A lot of things are taking people away from the industry, but not the least of it is people going, ugh, you can't even have fun out here. These guys are jerks, man. You know what I mean? Like that's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's such a shame because I mean, this sport has so much potential. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you look at the college fishing and stuff like that. You look at the doors that it opens. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, here's
there's
one thing I want to clear up and make sure that I get this point across. I'm not on this live stream tonight bashing bass fishing.
no,
It's
no, no, no.
specifically for tournaments.
Correct.
Not the everyday angler that comes to Lake Fork to try and figure out how to catch them and wants to catch a big one or wants to catch a few or whatever. Like that dude, 99% of those people are like salt of the earth, God fearing, family loving, like the type of people you want to spend time around.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of the industry or the consumers of the industry are that. It's the ones who make their living inside of it, especially on the tournament side and the guide side too. Let's be real. Although the guide side, it seems to be like there's a little bit of that in other places, but there's a lot more of it at Lake Fork than there is most other places.
Yeah, I just when you think of trophy size bass, you think of one place, and so that's the
Also,
tension.
the proximity to as big a city as Dallas Fort Worth is.
Yeah, that's true. That's
There's
true.
not another one that close.
No, I mean it's so much easier for the majority of the bass fishing population. I mean it's all Southerners. I mean, let's be real, most of them.
Yeah, because we can fish year round. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Fork is so much more accessible than Kissimmee or
Yeah, you just looking like
Okeechobee or
Okeechobee's not that close to Miami.
right,
Like it's
right,
not. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Guntersville, I don't even know what a big city in Alabama would be. It ain't nothing nearly as big as Dallas Fort Worth. But you know
No,
what I mean? Like
I mean you got the
Houston's got
Delta in
nothing.
California, but there ain't nothing close to it either.
Yeah, I mean the Delta's right there. The Delta is by big cities. It's by Sacramento and San Francisco, but that's California. That's a whole different world out
Different
there.
breed of human being out there.
Well, and also on top of being the closest to a major city like that, it's the smallest. Like the Delta, dude, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of acres.
No doubt.
Any other destination like you want to name that's on the level of Fork or close to it, it's so much bigger than Fork. That's part of the problem too. So you have more guides because of the proximity to a major city.
Right.
And you have a lot less space, like a quarter of the space. So that's where all the guide drama for. I mean, that's what causes it. But either way, I did want to highlight this comment. We talking about fighting in flip flops. Don't forget, in Friday Night Lights, Preacher Man said, "I'll knock him out with a pair of flip flops on my feet."
He did say that, and I believe that guy.
But when Booby knocked him out,
yeah, he gonna do it with some Nikes.
The black Nikes on his feet, man.
That's right.
Heck yeah.
Not fuzzy Crocs though.
There you go. That's for you right there.
Oh, Sims, you take up comedy, bub?
Sims, Michael Sims, part-time amateur comedian.
Good to see you, Sims. I ain't seen you in a while, buddy.
There's a few in here that you would know. Maze is in here.
Sure. I'm sure.
Maze is in here. Joey Bell's in here.
What's Maze doing?
He wants to know if you started working for Bud Light now.
Why are you looking for free beer, Maze?
Hey, Chris, you know why they make Michelob Ultra in them skinny cans?
Yeah, it's so they don't slip out of. Never mind, I can't say it. Yeah. Men drink Miller Lite.
That's right. Yeah. Coors Light's okay too, right?
Yeah, Coors Light's all right.
And all the Mexican beers, all good.
Oh yeah.
Cody was upset. His first comment was where he wanted to know where his invite was. So.
Oh, well. Hey, I think we should plan a fishing trip to the Gulf of America and go catch some redfish.
What's the regulations for the Gulf of America?
I don't know. Just a standard fishing license.
We keep whatever we want?
I think as long as you come with a huge boat, I think it's good.
Huge?
Yeah.
That's my question. Hey, if it's not the regulations say the Gulf of Mexico, right? Like, if it's the Gulf of America, can we just keep them all?
I didn't see anything pass across the desk.
I'll bet you this. I'll bet you there's some boys born in Louisiana that are testing that theory daily right now.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
One of them probably has the last name of Watts.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Them dudes, I don't know that them dudes in Louisiana. No, actually, I'm wrong, Chris. Them dudes in Louisiana, they're like, what the hell's a regulation?
Yeah. Fishing license.
Bag limit? What is that?
That's a recommendation. That's funny.
I had one of my baseball kids last year tell me that when on the stop sign, when you go by a stop sign, if it has the white ring around it, that's just a recommendation. You don't have to stop. It's like, oh Jesus! 16-year-old travel baseball kid told me that. I was like, yeah. Well, you're not driving my truck, bud. Let you know that.
No.
Cody can join if he wants to. I don't know. I don't know why he's acting like he ain't invited. He's got to open it. He has a standing, what do you call standing invitation, right? You know how they say it?
Yeah. He's like he's like the balls in the dog. He just belongs.
Yeah. He's along for the ride.
Yeah.
Well, Sim said, I know one thing. I'm hiding all the booze from y'all if I have a tourney the next day. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Chris, do you remember that?
I plead the fifth. FIF.
Was it you and Sims were fishing a tournament the next day, and me and Zach came over, right?
Yes.
And,
yes. And we stayed up till about 3:40 a.m.
Yeah.
Drinking.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. But, yeah, no. 3:40 a.m., yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
Dude, hey, Zach's done got old. Zach be going to bed at like 9:30.
Him too? Bubba, hey, when you called me last night, I was already an hour asleep.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
I called you to talk about the live stream today, and you were already sleeping, huh?
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, I very seldom see 9 o'clock anymore.
It's happening to all of us, brother. We all getting older.
Dude, I'm telling you.
We're all getting older. There's no doubt about that.
Like the hours that I'm awake, I should be a fishing guide because that's about the hours that I'm awake nowadays.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm trying to get Maze to join us here. I got to find his email here and send him a link. If you see me looking at my screen like I'm studying, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to spell. I need to go to that Derek Zoolander school. For the kids that don't read good, you know. Yeah.
Man, I just want to let the audience know I've tamed it way down tonight because it's been a long time since I've had to be professional on camera, and I feel I've done a pretty excellent job.
Yeah, no, you have. I thought it was going to be a little bit more. You have to hit the mute button every once in a while. Or something.
Well, I mean, here's the deal.
There you go. Nobody can hear you right now. See? Oh, okay. Now you're back.
Yeah, you muted me.
I just muted.
The host has unmuted your mic.
I thought I was going to have to do that a lot tonight.
Man. I'm like Clint Boyer in NASCAR. I need to be on about a 5-second delay.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Maze, what's up?
What you doing, man?
What's up, guys? How's it going there, Chris?
Bandit.
Did your wife make you move to the boat storage unit permanently?
No, man. I was already up here because I've got a guide trip tomorrow, and the guy wants to take his boat, so I'm trying to get some stuff together, put in a bag and all that crap. So, but yeah, I was just up here. I didn't know you were doing a live. I got on here, got on YouTube, turned on my music, and I saw that you were live. I was like, this SOB. So I've been listening, y'all.
Well, Wednesday night is Guides Night. That's what we do now. So Wednesday night is Guides Night. So are you going to be available this Wednesday?
Oh yeah, I'm available. I'm good.
We'll definitely do a breakdown of what's going on. It's going to be cold as hell, but we'll do a breakdown of what's going on. On Wednesday, I tell you what's cool though. Like it's going to get cold and get kind of nasty this week, but then like right after that, it warms right back up, and that usually kind of looks like it's going to move the right direction. Kind of the same time like we had the last couple of years, where right at the last week of February, first week of March is when it really gets on and popping, as they say.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in the 70s all next week. So starting Sunday, it'll be warm. So
yeah, which we'll be talking about that more on Wednesday on Guides Night, right here on your Lake Fork Guide YouTube channel. Guess what I'm doing tomorrow?
Probably going to Montecello.
Going to Montecello, baby. Going to Montecello, dude. I haven't been posting a lot about it, but like, god dang, dude, it's just like so dumb over there. Like, Chris, you need to take one of those trips. I know you don't ever get to fish. Hey, Joey Bell's talking about the name for Cody. Joey Bell, look, man, Cody did that to himself. I didn't even put that name on there. The old trash bandit. It's fitting.
There's an inside story to that, Joey.
Yeah, Montecello. Yeah. We'll have to text him after we tell him that. Chris, you need to come on out to Montecello with me. Chris has left the chat. Chris has texted. He can't concentrate on two things at once.
But you can't do more than one thing at a time.
What is he doing, bro?
There ain't no telling.
Hey, Chris, are you with us? he's out, dude. He's gone. He just turned it off.
Oh my goodness. He kind of, right now, that confused look, that kind of looks like Joe Biden right now. He just don't know where he's at, what he's doing. Yeah.
He does look like a Joe Biden press conference right there. It's a Joe Biden press conference. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. Chris, if we lost,
can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
you.
I can't hear y'all.
Oh, can you hear us now? Can you hear us now? No, he's got nothing. What is he doing? He is brought the live stream.
I can't hear shit.
Oh man.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Dude, I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on here.
Can you hear us or no?
Hey, I'm good with continuing. Y'all just sign everything so I can continue to be part of the conversation.
Go log back. Well, I can't even tell you that. I'm going to text you to go log back in right now. Good grief, what a knucklehead.
I'm telling you. Let's see. He just texted and said that that's what he was going to do.
Okay. Oh, here he is. How about now? Everybody's gone. Is the live stream still going? Dude. I don't know what just happened.
Well, I was trying to look at his message in the chat, and I hit the back button one too many times, and it took me out.
Golly, what a mess. Chris, can you hear now?
I can hear everything.
I was trying to tell you about Montecello and saying you need to come to Montecello.
Oh, dude, I bet you it is. I bet it's insane.
It is. It is.
Dude, you know, if I'm not mistaken, I was actually one of the last ones to fish that place when it was still open to the public.
Yeah. Yeah, we were.
I mean, yeah, one of the last handful anyways.
Yeah, you and Dylan Watts was the last video that we filmed out there was with Dylan. But yeah, the one we filmed was right before that.
Mm-hmm.
Not long.
You know, I've actually never got to fish that lake. I've been on it a lot as a kid, but I never bass fished it. I never got that pleasure. So.
Dude, that place, that's one of the most incredible places I think I've ever fished. Especially the time of the year that you go fish it.
Yeah, like you'll go when it sucks everywhere else.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just blast them.
Yeah.
Just blast them.
Kill them.
It's wild, dude. Like it's special, you know. And I'm taking some private chat. What is private chat? Oh, here we go. That's Chris. You figured out a private chat before I did. See, you know more about this stuff than I do.
I don't know.
But anyways, it's
the private chats I'm used to cost me money back in the day.
You know, I'm taking yeah. So I'm taking a few customers out there, but you know, honestly, man, most people just want to go to Fork, and most people want to fish out of a boat. I think most people don't want to have to deal with getting up and down that bridge apron and getting in that little boat and kind of being stuck in it all day. Like that's part of it. But dude, like if you want to just whack them, like it's crazy out there.
Oh,
like,
I'm sure.
It is crazy. I took Dendy out there last week or a week before, something like that, and it was. Granted, we didn't have actually no, we had like the warming trend and all that, but like I took him during the warming trend, and it was okay. Like we caught 20 fish or whatever we caught, but like it was that was like the worst day I've had out there. Like it wasn't as good as it is. I don't know what it is about that lake, but like the worse the weather is, the worse the conditions are, it seems like the better you catch them. It's the weirdest anomaly I've ever seen when it comes to that.
Yeah. Like I said, we were out there in freaking heat of August, end of August, just miserable. And
I think what happens is, I think there's a lot of fish in it. I think there's so many fish in it that you catch a lot whenever you go.
Right.
And then when it's really tough conditions, so like extreme hot or extreme cold or whatever, it makes them all do the same thing. So you just, when you find them, you blast them. But when it's like good conditions, they spread out. And so you still catch a lot of fish. There's a lot of fish in Montecello, but it's not as good as it is on the bad days because they're more grouped up.
Right.
I think that's part of it.
And that lake's pretty dang small too.
Yeah, it's very small. Very small. Very small.
Know.
Michael Sims, y'all not allow senior citizens on guys' night. Simsy, it's not guys' night, it's guides' night. It's for all the fishing guys to get together and talk about what's going on the fisheries, brother. You're always invited to guys' night, Sims. You know that.
And we got plenty of senior citizens on that show.
It's pretty much all. So yeah, I mean, Ozio's on it. Ozio is on it.
I thought that was called bingo.
Yeah. So did Ozio. That's how we got him there.
Well, you had to do that show at like 3 p.m. and Fozio was on there because he goes to bed at like 4:30.
Bro, so the other night, the first one was last Wednesday where we did like 4 of us were on there together.
Yeah.
And I'm like expecting Ozio to like need to go to bed at like 9 o'clock or something, you know.
He's outlasting everybody else.
He was dude, I went for 3.5 hours and Ozio was the last one on there.
Dang.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Well, I retract my previous statement.
He's a different cat now. I'm telling you, he cut from a different
nocturnal.
Oh, Sim said that guides night is on Wednesday. This is guys night on Sunday. Yeah, so okay, because it's us 3, so we don't allow senior citizens on Sunday nights. I guess. Now I get the joke. Sims, you gotta brush up, man. Your jokes they're hard to catch, man. You gotta land the plane a little cleaner than that, bud.
Speaking of Ozio,
you going on Fort tomorrow?
Yeah, we're going on Fort tomorrow. But speaking of Ozio, hell, we went out to Wells Friday, to get away from all the pre-fishermen for bass champs, and man, we got out there on on those humps, and I mean, every cast was a 5 or 6 pounder. I mean, it was a good day out there on those humps in Welsh. It was fun.
Big ones were biting. That's good.
Yeah, it was a good day.
That's good to hear, because they had a pretty big that fish kill they had last year. It kind of almost every year they have a fish kill out there at the end of summer, almost every year because of how hot it gets with the power plant. But the one they had last year was a little worse than normal. Like it was a bad one, and it was mostly God dang, my nose is itching. And it was mostly big fish, and so it was like there was a lot of people reporting they were catching good numbers, but not any big ones this year at Welsh. So it's good to hear y'all had a day where we caught a lot of the better ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, we almost died too.
That's
so
awesome.
we were sitting down at hump, and I had a state trooper in my boat, and I had the deputy chief of Wood County in my boat, and the deputy chief was at the front looking at the graph, and I was behind him, and the state trooper was on the back deck, and we're just throwing on that hump, and I mean, right at the last second, I hear this damn boat. I mean, like, cut it, and I turned and looked, and that damn deputy chief, he about to jump off the boat. He was going to leave us all there. He was like a deer in the headlights. He didn't know what to do. I'm telling you, that boat missed us by like 3 feet. And I just kept fishing. And Chris said, "Dude, you weren't scared?" I said, "Bro, it's my time. It's my time." You know what I mean? But what's funny about that is later that evening, I got a message on Facebook, and it was a guy. He said, "Hey, did you almost get ran over today on Lake Welsh?" And I was like, "Matter of fact, I did." He said, "Man, that was me, and I'm so sorry."
What? How did it
He
happen?
said, "I was looking down at my phone." He looked down at his phone because they've been waiting on some results, and the results came in. He looked down at his phone for a split second. Next thing he knows, he looked up, and I mean, he literally almost ramped us. I mean, it could have been bad. So
where were you at on the lake?
So just let's see, northeast of the discharge, out on that first little hump out there in the middle of the run there. Yeah.
Was he coming up from the dam side, coming up the lake?
Yep. Yeah. So
pretty wide open. He would have had to seen y'all. I mean, that's pretty bad mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, don't text and drive. The paternity test can wait.
Uh,
I couldn't get him to tell it publicly on camera, but I heard Hackney tell a story about Justin Lucas, and Justin Lucas kind of nodded his head and confirmed it about Hackney told him he was texting and driving. He said, you remember that time they had some metal, like iron buoys on a river channel on one of these river system lakes, like Tennessee River or something? And he messed his boat up hitting one of these metal buoys.
Mm.
And Hackney said, yeah, you were texting and driving. He goes, I wasn't texting and driving. He goes, yeah, you were texting on your graph and driving. He goes, yeah. He ran into a buoy because he was like dropping waypoints or something on his graph, messing with his graph, and just cranked right into a buoy. So it can happen, man.
They have those same buoys on Gunnersville. I almost hit one.
They
Like
may have been
10
where they
minutes ago.
were. They may have been where they were, Gunnersville.
Yeah. Yeah, and those things don't play either.
Eric Haynes said, hey, well, I asked you where on the lake you were. He said, Billy trying to figure out your honey hole. Dude, it's maybe.
Oh man.
Listen, if we were talking about another lake, maybe, but we're talking about Lake Wells. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah, it's smaller than a boat almost. There's nowhere for them fish to hide.
Yeah,
I'm surprised somebody actually cranked their big motor up on Welsh. I thought you just dropped the trolling motor and went fishing.
Oh, bro, I run the shit out of that lake.
I believe that. I've been in the boat with Mace. He runs the shit out of anybody.
That's right.
He's like Ricky Bobby.
I ain't no worse than Billy.
Huh? What?
What? I'm gonna tell you about something about Billy. When he turns on his music, I found this out a long time ago. When he turns on his music, he drives to the beat of the music. Okay, folks. So whenever I got in the boat with him, and it was like 25-mile-an-hour winds, and this son bitch turns on metal death music, I reached over and grabbed his phone. I said, "Not today, not today. We ain't driving this shit."
Hey, we were. It's funny you say that because one day we were out on Fork. It was fall. It's probably early mid-November, something like that. Storm system's blowing in. I mean, we're rolling in 5-6 footers, and we're listening straight out of Compton, and we are freaking jumping these damn things. Never checked
Yep.
up.
Yep.
But
listen, boys, there's times when it gets rough out there. The best way to run it is to get on top and just hold on.
Hey, I
agree.
Let me backtrack a little bit. By no means was that me bitching.
Chris has spent more time in a boat out of the water with me than anybody else for sure.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Chris was around before I started guiding, and right when I first started guiding, and we still fished a few like little small tournaments here and there.
Oh yeah.
And Chris, you can attest to this. I am a competitive dude. Like I'm very, very competitive. And so when you get me on a tournament day,
oh yeah,
it don't the freaking gas pedals on the floor and we're trimmed up.
Oh, no.
Like it ain't no checking up on them days. Like I buy these super expensive boats that can run in any kind of water and it won't sink. And there's like I'm gonna use every ounce of it on tournament day.
Oh, that's right. Hey, tournament day, everything's off the table. Hell, I've blown a damn motor in a tournament and kept running some bitch because they ain't gonna get more blowed up.
Well, I almost sunk a boat in a tournament.
Just vibrate the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Hey, Maze, I almost sunk a boat in a tournament on Lake Palestine.
Oh, I believe it.
He did.
Hell, I've tried to sink a boat before, and it was one of them ones that's unsinkable. I didn't find that out till afterwards. But, hey, shit happens.
The worst running I ever did was in the last guides tournament they had. It was very, very, very foggy that morning. I mean, very foggy. And we went you could launch wherever you want, trailer. We launched at Oak Ridge Marina and ran to the back of Glade. And when I say the back of Glade, you two know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
the dirt
behind the islands.
Yeah.
So
the duck hunting water at Glade.
Yes. So it's foggy. And I'm talking about like it's hard to see the buoys until right before you get to them. Like like you can't see nothing. It's a sleep suit, dude. And so I told them guys that were with me, I said, look, I didn't come here to play for second. We've got 3 hours till that cold front hits. We're going to get every second we can in this hole. We're gone. I said, and y'all tell me if I'm fixing to hit a buoy or a boat because I'm looking at the screen, Jack. and I pinned it back and I ran as hard as I could run, and I didn't let out of it. I mean, I went all the way to the back corner of Glade, past the buoys on my trail that I had, and we made it. Now, I will admit that was stupid as hell. Like, that was a bad decision to do that, because if another boat was coming down that boat lane and we're on the same heading, it would have been too late to do anything by the time we saw each other.
Yeah, because it ain't wide enough to split it.
Yeah, it's just too late. By the time you see it, it's so foggy, you can't react that quick. And there's always a lag in boat turning and all that. So that was a terrible decision, a very dangerous thing I did. It worked out. We got back there and we busted them and got out to a big lead early, but that was dumb of me to do that. So,
it's a good thing that Fork doesn't have those metal buoys, because up the East Arm we would have declared a few of them allegedly in those night tournaments.
Yeah, the night tournaments.
Yeah.
I'm like, Chris, where's the spotlight?
Hey man, I was doing the best I could.
We had that little like Walmart spotlight, wouldn't work at the time.
Yeah.
And it had like this beam. You couldn't see the buoys half the time.
We only hit 2 of them.
Yeah. It'd be
only 2 of them.
It'll buff out.
Maze, I ain't shitting you. I'm sitting there shining the spotlight, and I'm yelling at him. He can't hear me, obviously. I'm like, hey, right. Pow! Billy looks at me. What was that? What do you think it was, Billy? He never checks up, never gets out of it.
It's too late now, bro. Might as well keep going.
I mean, it is what it is, bub. Good times.
Joey Bell wants to know what song I was playing that day. I'm assuming that day I was talking about Running in the Fog. I can tell you there was not any song playing on the speakers that day, but in my head there was something about, I can't even say the words because it's so bad. But let's see if I can say the mother, because I'm down for my.
Oh yeah. I was going with Crazy Train by Ozzy.
I was out for blood that day. I was mad at everybody, including the fish and everybody else that was fishing. I was getting after it. That day.
I'm just glad Big X the Plug wasn't making music back when I was riding in the boat with you all the time, because we'd be dead. We would be dead.
Yeah.
Hey, what was that comment about Boat Arc? There you go.
Yeah, I brought it back up. So, what do we think about Boat Arc? Will it be the next Fork? No.
Man,
no.
There's no. I'm sure it's going to be a great lake. It already is a good lake.
It's going to be really great for the first 10 or 15 years for sure. Right. They all are. But it's not built the same. It doesn't have the same landscape. It doesn't have the same soil type. It's not. It's just not the same topography. I don't think there was it looks like there is in it now. There's not nearly as much as what was in Fork.
There wasn't near the planning that went into it either, I don't believe.
No.
Well,
they didn't stop
go ahead. I noticed this summer they had to shut down some of the ramps, because it dropped in water level so fast. So I think that's going to be an issue in the future if we have droughts that, you even going to be able to get in on it and fish it. How low is it going to get?
That might be kind of good for it in the long run, give it breaks in pressure. But they didn't stock it as much as they wanted to. I think it kind of filled up faster than they anticipated. And according to what one of the biologists told me, like, they didn't get to put as many Florida strain bass in there as they wanted to.
What's the surface area of that lake?
It's pretty big.
I'm not sure what it is.
It's big. I think it's a little bigger than Fork.
Like 30,000 big?
Mm-hmm.
30, 35? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that. I'm not. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is.
That's a pretty good sized lake.
But I mean, it's going to be a good lake. Like, all lakes are so rich in nutrients when they're first built. It's going to grow fish really big. They're going to catch some big ones out there. They're going to catch a lot of numbers out there for 10 or 15 years. It's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we caught some good fishing in the spring, but I'm just going to tell you what, I'm not going back, unless somebody requests it, because I know for me, it's a 3-hour round trip. Billy, it's even further. I mean, it's not worth the haul when you've got Lake Fork right here. So
that's the thing about being right here, is it's hard to drive past Fork and some of the other lakes around here. It's hard to drive past them to go somewhere else that's the same or maybe not as good. And I mean, can you go catch more fish on Boat Arc than Fork on a day-to-day basis? Yeah, probably so.
Right now,
your average size isn't going to be as good right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it may get to a point for a little while where it is. But I mean, listen, Fork is so unique and so special that there's just not another lake that has the longevity of production of big bass.
No. It has stood the test of time.
And at its peak, there's not even Ivy with live scope can compete with what Fork did at its peak. So we were way off on the size of boat arc, by the way. It's only 16.5.
I thought it was 10,000 acres smaller, but I wasn't going to say nothing until I knew for sure.
Yeah, well, look, Cody, if you think something different, you're supposed to say it on this channel.
Well, but I couldn't remember, so hey, I don't like being wrong.
Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking it's bigger. I thought it was bigger, but it's only 16.5. That comes from my buddy Jared Carson. He lives right there in the bottom area, and he knows he fishes it a lot. So,
well, hey, fellas, my phone's about to die, so I'm gonna get off. But I did want to jump on and say hi to Chris and everything. So,
what's up, buddy? Right. Good to see you, guys.
All right, y'all too, bro. If y'all need anything, holler at me, Chris.
All right, we'll do.
All right, Billy, we'll see you Wednesday, brother.
All right, we'll see you, buddy.
All right, man. Later.
Then there's this. Every time I bring up Fork, someone always has to tell me OHIV. I mean,
it's the shiny new toy. I mean,
I know, but it's the thing about OHIV is so deceptive because it's one type of fishing, one time a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, it's your typical West Texas lake,
and it's live scope. Like, Ivy's been great in the past without live scope, but not like this.
No, I mean, but that just goes back to what we were talking about earlier. People have figured out a way to master this deal and target fish that have never been targeted in the history of ever. And so you go to a place that's got them. I mean, Ivy's got them, but they ain't got them like Fork, not the average. I mean, let's just be honest.
I mean, nowhere has them. I mean, you look at it's fun now that we do weigh in the boat on the Elite Series. It is fun to see the weights. You know, and as much as I bashed tournament fishing earlier, one thing I love is we get to see the weights out of Fork pretty much every year now, and every year it's the biggest weights. Like there's no like for all these years, Fork's been this legend, and there's been no real big tournaments here because they couldn't bring the slot fish to the scales.
Yeah.
Well, now that they can weigh them in the boat with the technology we have now, and they're willing to do that, like holy crap, dude! You know what I'm saying? Like.
Well, that was always my biggest, Fork's my favorite lake to ever fish. Like there's no question about that. It's no secret. But man, outside of the, Skeeter Owners Tournament or, some of the night tournaments that you and I were fishing just to, jack around and have a good time, I will not fish Fork in a JC Outdoors. I will not fish Fork in a standard bass champs. I'm just not going to do it because to me, it just seems blasphemous to have to throw back a 6-pounder. I mean, I've always thought that was, and I understand why that is, and I'm good with it. I really am.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, it's the reason there's not like a lot of, like Bassmaster Opens and things like that don't come there is because of that. Like, you have your local trails and there's guys that are really good at that and catching those 2-pounders and they enjoy it. And it draws a lot of boats because it is still Fork. Yeah. But no, I'm with you, dude. Before I was guiding, like I got to where I would not fish a stringer tournament on Fork. Like,
no,
I just didn't. I hated it.
Because I mean, and I'm not. I know I'll catch a lot of shit for this.
It's hell to go out and catch 25 pounds and get beat by 6 pounds.
Correct. And there's guys that are really good at catching those cookie cutter unders. David Odio's one of them. I mean, he's excellent at that. And nothing against that. I'm just not that guy. That's not what I target. I'm trying to catch the biggest fish in the lake every cast.
So Ivy, look, and somebody said something wrong. I was wrong about Ivy. Where was it? Wrong. Those creeks. Talking about Ivy. Those creeks are awesome in the spring. You don't have to have forward-facing sonar and have fun at Ivy, but it's still not the go lake. Right. That's all I'm saying. Like Ivy is a great lake without forward-facing sonar. It was great in 2007 to 10 range. Like it was fantastic. It struggles when they get the bad droughts out there, like all the West Texas lakes do. But it is a great lake, but it's not Fork.
No.
Right? Like the only thing about Ivy that's on par with Fork or maybe better these days is if you're a forward-facing sonar dude during the pre-spawn. Ivy's better to catch big fish. There's no doubt. It's better to catch a giant out of if you're a forward-facing sonar dude. And you better be good with it. Like you better be handy with that forward-facing sonar. Now, when that first happened, you probably didn't have to be very good to catch them out of ivy. You could just find them. But now that those forward-facing sonar fish in the middle of the pond are getting pressure, like you better be handy with that forward-facing and your minnow and your A-rig and all that stuff. You better be good with all that stuff if you're going to go catch one of those big ones out of ivy. So it's a specialty kind of one-trick pony deal for the giants. And then outside of that, it's still a good lake, but it's not fork. Outside of the forward-facing sonar wintertime deal, it's not fork. It's just not.
I mean, I don't even know how many lakes you could put in the same conversation as forked. I mean, maybe Biwa at one time.
Well, let's try it. Which one? What'd you say?
Maybe Biwa at one time.
Man, no. Dude, I mean, from what – now, look, this is all hearsay. Obviously, I've never been to Japan, but from what I hear, like, you go days without getting a bite on Biwa.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it's a hard lake to fish.
Maybe Castaic back in the day.
Yeah, the California lakes, when they were stocking trout like crazy, for sure could be up there. For sure.
Yeah, Clear Lake, Castaic.
That deal's kind of come and gone, though, you know?
Right. Freaking Butch Brown, dude. You know how much screen time that dude has gotten from me over the years?
A lot.
And you know what? Like, he's the dude, like, that's what I wish bass fishing was all the time. Was that dude just wrapped up into a sport.
Yeah.
Just the coolest, just laid back. Depth's 250, man. Wang Chung. Like,
he's kind of got that California surfer vibe to it, but like,
oh yeah.
Do you think Butch Brown knows what a bong is?
Allegedly.
Yeah, for sure. Like he definitely does.
Like he's got a freaking 1986 Sony camera on a tripod in a little flat bottom that he freaking took to a machine shop to weld in a live well that could hold 5-10 pounders.
I know.
You know, like, what are we doing? Like, I don't think there's a boat made standard to this day, even as far as technology's come, that can hold some of the bags he's catching.
Let me ask you this. Okay, let me ask you this. We'll take you down a little path here.
Take me.
Okay. So the way they catch them in tournaments now at Fort, do you think the weights would have been more or less in the 90s? You think they would have caught more weight or less weight? Now, they don't have forward-facing sonar. They don't have modern baits. Do you think the weight they catch in a tournament in the 90s is more or less than what they catch now on Fort?
I'm gonna say less.
You think they would catch less weight? Bro, people were catching fish like the way they catch them on ivy with forward-facing when it first, like the first year they did it. That's how regular people caught them on fork in the 90s.
Well, hold on. Are we talking about a stringer tournament?
Yes, we're talking about a Bassmaster tournament comes to Fort in 1993. Do they catch more weight then than they do in 2025?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure it's more than less pressure.
Bro, it would have been astronomical, in my opinion. It would have blown the record away.
Yeah, I mean, Falcon would have had nothing to...
Right.
Yeah.
It would have just blown all the records away. Like, if they fished them then. They didn't. We know that. They didn't. But what I'm saying is, if they could have fished Fort in those days, what would the weight be?
Yeah.
35 a day on average minimum, maybe 40.
Yeah, and you'd have had them 50 days too.
There'd have been some 50-pound bags in that tournament for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, the weight would have literally been like 150, 100, like something like that.
Yeah, in a 3-day freaking tournament.
Yeah, well, in a 4-day tournament. So, my point is, I'm taking you down a path here. They fished Clear Lake at its peak. They fished Rayburn at its peak. They fished Toledo at its peak. They fished all these other lakes at their peaks throughout time. Okeechobee, all of them. None of them have ever come close to that. In fact, all of them now compete head-to-head with Fork, and Fork kicks their butt, and Fork is not as good as it used to be.
Right.
Bro, there's never been a place like Lake Fork.
No.
Nothing even in the same stratosphere as Lake Fork. Just think about it. They would have caught 150 pounds without forward-facing, without modern baits. Back in the day, when if you caught 80 pounds, it was a crazy big fish slugfest.
Yeah, that's true.
They would have almost doubled the other tournament. They would have more than doubled most of the other tournaments at that time.
Yeah.
Like, and would have almost doubled even the best tournaments at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Clear Lake tournament that Kennedy won, where the swim bait deal got exposed on Clear Lake, it was like 100 pounds, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Like
true.
110 or something like that, Like
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah. I would like to see. I would like to see a tournament on fork when they're really eating that swim bait, that big bait, and just see how stupid that would be.
I don't eat it that good anymore.
Really?
Too many people, too many people fishing.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll eat it, but not like what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Not like it used to be.
Yeah.
Like not like it used to be at all. Like them deals, like when me and you went out there in the fall, like that little window that we had in the evening, that doesn't happen anymore.
That's crazy.
Like you just it's a one at a time. It's like real swim bait fishing now. It's like one at a time, make them react, and you can do some of it with your live scope and you can kind of get that deal going. But to say you're going to go out there and catch 10 or 15 big bait bites a day,
right?
That doesn't happen. I mean, if it's a very rare occurrence if you catch 10 or 15 on a big bait out there.
I've been seeing, I don't watch as much tournament fishing anymore. And it truth be told, it's for a lot of the reasons that we talked about earlier on in this podcast. But I have been seeing, I still follow all the same people, on my socials. And, I've been seeing a bunch of that little swim bait with the underspin and stuff, like some of that more finesse stuff has just seemed to, that was kind of a thing back when I was doing it all the time, but it wasn't like it is now. So is there something to the more finesse side of things now that's kind of, you're having to kind of peel the onion back?
Yeah, I mean, just fishermen are better now. Like we are better as fishermen. We are better with all this technology, and I think more than the technology is the amount of information and knowledge available. I mean, we've made well over 1,000 videos on this channel. That anybody that wants to know how pretty much everything I know about bass fishing can learn basically everything other than my instincts. You can learn basically every fundamental, every technique, every bait selection. You can learn all that by watching my videos. And you can say that for thousands of bass fishermen out there, many of whom are some of the best on earth, right? Like you can learn things from the best fishermen. Like we've never had that in the history of the sport. So I think just the knowledge that's out there and available for the dudes that are like we were 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when we were just like wanting to learn how to catch them. Like we'd have been worthless at work, dude. We'd have been sitting there watching, you know what I mean? We'd have been studying every YouTube bass fishing instructional, every report, like we'd have been on. So as fishermen, we are 100% as a group, as a whole, much better today than we've ever been. That being said, it's not necessarily about the amount of people bass fishing. It's not like there's too much pressure. It's the quality of the pressure that we're putting on these fish. They're getting harder to catch. They really are.
They're not just seeing 1,000 spinnerbaits today. They're seeing,
they're seeing the good stuff. Like they're seeing all the good, and they're getting thrown at where they live more now. Like it's, and especially with live sonar. So it's just getting harder to catch them, and that's where you're seeing a lot of this kind of creative stuff with some of the finesse stuff and different techniques and things coming to play more frequently. Is the fact that these fish are we're better at catching them. We're better at fishing for them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Crazy times.
Do they still stock fork? I haven't read a stocking report. Somebody's asking if they still stock fork. I haven't read a stocking report on fork in a long time. As far as I know, they do. I don't 100% know if that's true or not. But
I would have to assume they do, but that's just speculation.
I don't know what they're up to on their stockings anymore. They used to kind of be a big deal. Like they make big social announcements about it and stuff. They don't seem like they really talk about it much anymore.
Do you think they still put them little 5-6 inch trout in Tyler State Park?
I'm sure they do. I mean, that's another thing. You don't hear about that anymore. You remember we used to hear about that?
Oh yeah.
We don't hear about that anymore, but I'm sure they do. I'm sure because they do it. It's like they have it's an urban pond stocking, and then they do it at some of the small state parks. They do it at these small places for people that want to bank fish with kids.
Right.
They stock these trout, and kids these are farm raised trout that just, they're dumb.
They're just sending them to the gulags. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so these kids and families can go out and bank fish and just catch crap out of these trout. So that's kind of what that program does. But what it also does is offers a little snack to a bass when they stock them in there. On Tyler State Park, you can almost cast across the dude. Like it's with new reels, rods and reels. If you sat in the middle, you could almost cast to every corner of it, right?
And there's like 12 to 15 foot of clarity.
Yeah. I know it was like 15, 16 years ago, the biggest fish caught in the state of Texas one year was caught out of Tyler State Park on a trout swim bait.
Yeah.
Like a big, 8 or 9 inch HUD trout pattern. And it was
Mm-hmm.
around the trout stocking. And that's a thing. Like, I went out there and did it. You can catch some big ones out there. It's just you don't catch a lot, but you can get a big bite out there at Tyler State Park when they stock those trout. I haven't thought about that in 10
If I'm not
years,
mistaken, that's the standing lake record to this day. The one you're talking about.
He was like 16 pounds or something.
16 pounds, yeah.
Yeah, it was
like
huge.
1592 or 1602 or something. It was something like that.
We're getting verification from one of the viewers that yes, they do still stock trout in Tyler.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, that's the thing when they stock it, which is usually they do it in December, January.
Yeah.
You can go out with a trout swim bait and usually get you a couple bites big bites on a trout style swim bait.
Yeah, I'm just looking for one.
They do that.
I'm just looking for. See, that's the kind of fishing trip. There for a while, I got kind of goofy about this bass fishing deal where I was fishing for one bite.
I know it. I remember we were in it together.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Matter of fact, hold on. Give me 1 second. You're not gonna believe this.
Do I have any fuzzy dice on my boat? I do not. I don't have any fuzzy dice. I'm fortunate to live in an area where I get to kind of fish the way I like to fish. There it is. That's an old convict. That thing's old. Old Smash Tech convict right there.
Chewed up too.
Yeah, chewed up.
I got it. It's sitting on my mantle, all chewed up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't do the fuzzy dice deal. I don't get it. Chris was talking about how much more prevalent the finesse fishing is becoming, but where I live, you just don't have to.
Yeah.
The scopers can't get to all the fish where I live because the timber, they can't cover the water the same. So we have grass and stuff that you can still fish and catch them. So I don't have to go that route as much. But even if you look at Fork last year, it was won by Trey McKinney. He's using a jerk bait. It's the same thing. He's using a jerk bait right before they got on beds. Wow. Newsflash, they've been doing that since 85. It was called a Rogue. It's the same thing we've always done. He was just using the live scope to do it a little better, So
that was crazy to me because I didn't realize how many people didn't throw jerk baits until after that tournament.
Yeah, man, my takeaway on that deal last year was everybody made a big deal about it being a live sonar tournament, and live sonar is just changing the way we fish for them and this and that and the other. And I'm like, bro, we had fish go to the bank and start spawning right as the tournament started. Then we had a cold front that backed them off the bank, and he threw a jerk bait in 6 to 8 foot of water. That is the same pattern that has been happening on Lake Fork since we were born, bro. The 80s, 90s. It's always that pattern's always gone on Lake Fork. A jerk bait out in front of the spawning areas when you get a cold front and they're starting to try to spawn. That's been a thing forever out there, dude. You know what I mean? It's not changing anything. It's just making us more efficient. Are we better as fishermen because of it? The guys that know how to use it? Yeah. You're keeping your bait in front of them instead of throwing it empty water. Yeah.
Right.
That's a huge difference. But we're not. The fish aren't changing their behavior because of it. That in that case, they weren't. Now, there may be some fish changing some behavior. I don't know, man. It's are the fish changing their behavior and going into the abyss more than they used to, trying to get away from us? Or was there just always a lot more fish out in the abyss than we ever knew about? Which one is it?
Dude, so you've met my cousin Justin. When I would go fishing with him growing up, we'd be sitting there flipping at wood or something like that, and he'd say, I don't think you understand just how many fish are around us right now. And this is way pre-technology, what we got these days. He said, man, if we were to drain the lake right here, he said, I think you would be shocked at how many fish are around us right now. And it never really kind of took with me, but now you see this technology and you're like, oh, damn, there's just a pile of fish. There's a lot more fish in the lake than we think.
Yeah.
But like you said, now it's just that much harder to catch them because now we're fishing for them where they live.
And go live sonar. And it's bro, how many of them run away from your bait?
No doubt.
Or just ignore it altogether. Most of the fish that you see and throw at on forward-facing sonar Dude, it's like they don't have any interest in your bait, whatever. So, like before forward-facing sonar, how many fish were we around that were just ignoring our bait? It was a lot. It was the majority, like 90% of them, 80% of them, whatever. So, I mean, the amount of fish that you had to be around to really catch them good is, it's a misconception for sure. It's a misconception for sure.
I think jerk baiting them on live sonar would probably be the hardest way to catch them, in my opinion. It would be the hardest for me.
I think it's the easiest way to catch them.
Really?
With a jerk bait. Yeah. I mean, maybe not the Alabama rig's the easiest. Okay. Let's make no mistake about it. The Alabama rig is the easiest thing to use on live sonar. It's easy to see because it's so big. You can just pause it, hover it over them a little bit, and then pick it up.
Yeah, I'm just thinking from the standpoint of the jerk bait of how, if you even got a little bit of wind, you've got to worry about boat positioning. You got to worry about bait positioning. You got to worry about, X, Y, and Z. You got to worry about not jerking it away from them. You got to,
The part about the jerk bait on the live sonar where you're managing the wind is a challenge for sure. Yeah, that part is
that would be my biggest challenge.
That's also a challenge on that spinning pole in that minnow.
Oh yeah,
the wind can hurt you bad in the live sonar stuff. It really can. It can be a death knell to it at times. Like it can kill it altogether. But as far as making fish bite, like a bait that'll make them bite for you when you're looking at them on live sonar, a jerk bait and a glide bait got to be right behind the A rig because of the twitches and the reaction. Like you can just kind of twitch it by one real fast, and if he shows interest and flashes on it, and you got a chance at that one, and you can kind of mess with that one. And then if you twitch one ball real fast and they don't pay any attention or they run away, you just move on. Like you can eliminate fish real fast and kind of decide, do I need to try to catch this fish or move to the next one real fast with a jerk bait and a glide bait, where with those other baits and you just drop them on their head, like sometimes it just takes you longer to move from one fish to the next. I'm not a big fan of the minnow pinging deal because of that aspect of it. Like I want to be able to move through fish faster. Like when I'm sight fishing, I think one of the biggest deals is knowing which fish to leave alone and being more selective about the fish you actually stop on. I think that's a big deal. So it's kind of a similar thought in that I want to be a little more selective on the fish I spend my time on live sonar. And all that, depends on how many you're seeing that day, how easy they are to see. Are they out in the open? Are they tight to the bottom? Like sometimes you just got to take what you can find because you can't find very many of them just the way they're positioned or acting or whatever. But listen, there's as many aspects to forward-facing sonar fishing as there is any other technique in bass fishing history. There's as many variables to it. There's as many different ways to do it. It is still the same difficulty level as every other type of fishing, if not more, because there's more to it sometimes. Like that whole thing about forward-facing sonar makes it too easy is complete and utter nonsense.
Oh, it's the asinine.
If you get good at it, it does make you more effective, yes, but it is not easy. It's not easy.
There's nothing easy about it.
The only time it's easy is on days when it was easy anyway. Like all it does is it makes everything a little bit better. Like forward-facing sonar for a beginner, if a guy just grabs a forward-facing sonar unit for the first time and goes out and fishes with it, the only time he's going to whack them on it is on a day that he was going to whack them without it. Like if they're just biting and they're aggressive and they're just in a great mood, and dude, you were going to throw whatever down the bank and catch them too.
Mm-hmm. You're fishing.
Drag your Carolina rig offshore. You were going to catch those fish anyway. So
it doesn't change where you're going to fish or how you're going to fish most of the time, I would say.
Not by much, maybe a little.
Yeah.
Maybe a little, not by a lot.
Well, I mean, kind of like the Trey McKinney deal that you brought up. I mean, it was really setting up to be a sight fishing tournament. Cold front blew in. All he did was back off a little bit. I mean, he's still fishing the same areas.
And the same pattern. Like, it's the same exact bite, dude.
Same fish. I need to come out of retirement.
Here's Cody's customer friend in the mornings on here with us. Can he trust him with his boat?
Yeah.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be all right,
you
Steven.
can trust him with your boat. Yeah.
You'll be all right, Steven. He ain't gonna get too wily.
I'm sure, and I've done that before, where you have customers who want you to go in their boat. Like, it's a lot different when you're in somebody else's boat.
It's an extra element of
a lot more customers. Yeah, like he doesn't want to fish for free and have to pay your insurance deductible. You know what I mean? Like he don't want to go to work for nothing that day.
Right.
Uh, seeing a lot of reports, people reporting stockings. So 490,000 in 24. There was 549,000 in 23. So yeah, they're still stocking it. That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I figured that was the case, but who am I?
All right, Chris. It's been a pleasure having you back on here, my guy.
Dude, it's been a good time. I need to come jump in a boat with you soon. It's getting about that time of year that I like.
I know. Hey, like I said, we drag that old tiny rig over there to Montecello anytime. You just let me know. We'll get it on the book. I know you'd be down to go float around on Montecello with me.
Oh yeah, I'll take I got a tens unit I can hook up to my back. I'm good, man. I can go punish myself for a day.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you what now. After fishing standing up all these years, sitting in a seat in that boat all day,
kind of nice.
It's almost kind of like relaxing a little bit. Like you just
really,
especially when you're going from one spot to another, it takes forever on that trolling motor, and you're just like kind of chilling, laying back, leaning back a little bit. It's really good.
Well, just remember, it's all fun and games. It's all fun and games till I go to set a hook and we're both swimming.
Hey, you know me, dude. Like, I promise you, this one I got, you can't tump it. You can't. Like,
challenge accepted. Stable. Challenge accepted.
You cannot do it. Now, you may fall out, but the boat ain't turning over. Like, it's real stable. Real stable. So this is quickly becoming a new tradition on the show here that just started last Wednesday. But I think it should be a new tradition. I like it. Let's see Chris's Trump dance before he leaves. We all did a Trump dance last week. There it is. You got to pump the fist a little bit, baby. Get the fist pump going. There you go. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Absolutely.
I love it, man. Thank you for hanging out with us, Chris. Hey, thank you guys so much for joining as always. Chris, where are we gonna see them next time?
Right here on your Lake Fork Guide. I ain't forgot.
You ain't forgot. Appreciate it, buddy.
We'll see you, man.
Later.
Bye.